Welcome everyone to the regular council meeting dated Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 4:40 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on traditional territory of Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of Indigenous people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Call to order at 4:40 in a moment of silence. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. Motion by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Janice Ranger.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 be approved as circulated, and that section 15 of procedural bylaw number 1575 as amended be suspended to allow for a recess to hold a public meeting prior to the commencement of regular business noted in section 4 petitions and delegations. And finally, that section 33 of procedural bylaw 1575 as amended be lifted for matters noted under section 4 petitions and delegations only, to relax the rules on discussions between members and the public, and also to allow administration to openly participate in the discussion where required.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted at the table. We shall now take a recess to open the public meeting. Item number 1 is call to order. Good afternoon, everyone. I hereby call this public meeting of Tuesday, May 20th regarding waste management service level changes to order at 4:42 p.m. Item number 2, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted at the table. Item number 3, summary of reports. 3.1, proposed changes for upcoming waste collection contract. Public meeting, Stefan Forte, Director of Public Works. Thank you, sir.
Evening, Madam Mayor, Council, and members of the public. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. As a quick recap, I'd like to summarize the proposed changes to Kirkland Lake's waste collection services. Changes that were previously presented to Council are now being shared for public input today. The current waste and recycling collection contract ends this September 30th, 2025. While recycling will be transitioning to circular materials, the town is preparing a new contract focused solely on solid waste collection and landfill operations. The proposed changes are designed to improve fairness, efficiency, and long-term sustainability. Here are the highlights. Commercial waste pickup be reduced to 1 day per week and not on Mondays. Residential pickup potentially reduced to every other week. Price options between weekly and every other week is requested within the RFP. Commercial and institutional properties will no longer receive the same municipal waste collection. They will be limited to 1 black garbage bin. This will eliminate the need for the contractor to manually collect waste from over 40 waste sheds, which is an inefficient and costly practice. This change addresses a long-standing issue where residential taxpayers were subsidizing business waste, which is not typical in other municipalities. We'll also be enforcing proper card allocation. Some properties currently have more cards than allowed under our bylaw. These extra cards will be removed this September to ensure fairness and consistency. The changes are expected to lower costs for residential taxpayers, generate revenue from tipping fees paid by the businesses, and streamline operations by moving to a more modern collection approach. In short, the goal is a waste collection system that is fair, cost-effective, and sustainable for the community. Once prices from the RFP is received, I'll be bringing back a report to council for recommendations based on price and public input. We're looking forward to hearing the public's comments today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Item number 4, confirmation notice. Madam Deputy Clerk, how was notice given?
Notice of the public meeting was given in accordance with the Town of Kirkland Lake's notice bylaw 22-047 by publishing said notice on the town's website more than 14 days in advance as of April 23rd, 2025. And supplemental notice was published again on May 1st in the Northern News, being the local print newspaper, through the town's various social media streams and within local radio broadcasts.
Thank you. Item number 5, correspondence received. Madam Deputy Clerk, was there any correspondence received from members of the public surrounding waste management services changes?
Madam Chair, I confirm that correspondence was received by the clerk's office. We received one piece of correspondence from Mrs. Beverly Stransky on 3 Queen Street. In the matter of changes to waste management service level, I submit that I approve of residential collection every 2 weeks in autumn, winter, and spring seasons, only as there are cooler temperatures. But in summer, I would like to see weekly collection because of warm temperatures, which cause garbage rot, smell bad, attract flies and animals. In summer, there is more garbage from yard, garden, and property cleanup, as well as people moving and getting rid of stuff. People's garbage will pile up and will not add to the beautification of the town. Regards, Mrs. Beverly Stransky.
Thank you. Item number 6, comments, questions from members of the public. Before I ask my next question, I would like to remind all members of council that in a public meeting, there is no discussion or debate between members of council and members of the public. Madam Deputy Clerk, has anyone registered to provide comments or pose questions electronically?
Madam Chair, I confirm that no one has asked the clerk's office to register or to request to participate electronically in this public meeting.
Okay, thank you. I will now invite members to line up in the center aisle to speak at the podium. You will each have the opportunity to provide your comments or pose questions, and you may only speak once. And as you come up, please state your name and address for the deputy clerk. Please proceed.
My name is Arlen Roy of 37 Wood Street, Kirkland. I have a problem with the garbage pickup. As it is now, a lot of, you go around the town all over, and a lot of the garbage cans are overfilled. Can you imagine having that for 2 weeks? And also bears in the summertime? I can't see it going that way at least 12. It has to go every week, because if it don't, we're gonna have problems. I had a bear a few years ago come sit right on my steps, and there's garbage cans in the apartment building, the front of the apartment building. And it tore it apart. It went right after it. It sat down on my step and started eating. So there was, my grandson was coming home, and it was dark, so I told him to stop and stay across the street. And there was a young man that was coming up on my side, and I told him, stop, there's a bear right there, you can't see him in the dark. So anyways, it's not just that, if I can see it in the wintertime for garbage pickup. Because lots of times it freezes or whatever, but the garbage to get picked up once every 2 weeks, that won't work. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, sir. I do appreciate your input.
Thank you.
The next individual may come forward. Remember, please state your name and address to the deputy clerk.
My name's Chris Beeson. I have properties out in Hughes on Government Road West at 606 and 610. I'm not feeling well today, so I wore a mask. I'm opposed to the change. I believe once a week should be maintained, the pickup of the garbage. Now, for several reasons, the gentleman before me spoke of wildlife. He spoke of bears, but like, there's ravens and crows, skunks, raccoons, foxes, and they're just gonna proliferate. As there's more garbage, and I'm a landlord, so what am I gonna do? The black bins are not large enough. Just today, I saw over here on Prospect Avenue when I parked to come here to this meeting. The bin it's at about a 30-degree angle, the lid. The garbage is in there, but the bin is full, or overfull, I guess you would say. So they're not big enough to last for 2 weeks. Well, if we got a proliferation of animals like raccoons, foxes, bears, skunks, then the chances of interaction with the community, people, members of the community are greater. And as there's more wildlife, the chance of the diseases in these wildlife, that they become sick, whether it's distemper, rabies, mange, whatever, these types of diseases, which makes wildlife even more unpredictable. To the point where maybe they might see the members of the community as a threat. And I don't see any good coming out of that. There's also the issue, I guess, of litter. So if the bins fill up, and I'm not there to take it to the dump, my tenant's gonna put it in the black bin. It's just gonna be there for 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks. Cats, everything's gonna get into that. It's gonna be a big mess. Illegal dumping. So people are gonna see the black bin's full. What are they gonna do? Not everybody, of course. But there is a good segment of the public that will just take their garbage, chuck it in the ditch. No cameras here, we can chuck it here, and you will see over the course of time, more and more and more. Here and there, they go for a walk on the trails or whatever, and you'll see bags of garbage, you'll see other stuff that's just been thrown away. Because it won't fit in the black bins. So I don't have a lot more on that, but the correspondence by letter and the gentleman before me, they mentioned maybe in the winter, this might be an idea, but I can't really say I agree, because once again, the black bins are not big enough. And when I get really, something that happened to me just a few weeks ago, once the snow melted and I had some winter damage at one of my buildings, so I arrived early in the morning to fix that, and as I arrived, my tenant's teenage daughter was putting the garbage bin out. And the lid was up a little bit, maybe 20 degrees, not a lot. And I inspected the damage, and then I went back to the front of the building where I was on my way to the hardware store to get what I needed to repair it, do the repairs. In that 20 or 30 minutes, three ravens had actually lifted that lid off the black bin. And there was garbage everywhere. So I put the lid back, and I had to do what I had to do, and then I come back and the ravens had removed it again. And now there was more garbage, but it was windy that day, so I was all the way up the street picking up garbage. So it wasn't only my properties that got full of litter that day, it was my neighbors up the street. So I have to really say that this is not a good idea for this community. And I appreciate you holding this public meeting so that I do get to get it, and other members of the public get to give their opinion on it.
Yes, thank you, sir. I do appreciate your time. And just a reminder to state your name and address for the deputy clerk.
Linda Petrie, 705 Government Road West in Chapel. I don't agree with any of it. We're gonna have garbage all over. Our taxes have been raised to make more money, which is hurting a lot of people. There's also 33 people on the sunshine list, so if you need to be getting cuts and getting more money, then you need to start looking inside, because as taxpayers, we're done, like we can't keep, living is expensive. So, and we'll have garbage everywhere. And in the winter, when the plow goes by, and if it doesn't come by for 2 weeks, your garbage is gonna be stuck in there. So I think it's not a good idea at all.
Thank you for that. We do appreciate your time. Welcome, sir. Just a reminder, please state your name and address for deputy clerk.
Donald Dumas, 828 Government Road West in Chappaqua.
One of my concerns is yesterday, we were supposed to have the garbage collected, and this happens a lot where the town will, post a schedule. And I stopped downloading the schedule from the town because it's always wrong. Sometimes they're supposed to pick up and they don't pick up on long weekends. So, people on long weekends, if the town on Facebook and radio says they're gonna pick up. So people have to either leave early to come back into town from wherever trips. So the problem is if they take their garbage out on Friday, and then the bears get into it, especially the May long weekend. So, garbage goes all over the place. Yesterday, it was supposed to be collected yesterday. And again, the schedule was wrong because they picked up today. There are other occasions where we were told that it would be collected on Tuesday. So we didn't put the garbage out. And next thing that happened, they came on the Monday. So we didn't put the garbage out, so I'd have to call them, they'd have to come and collect my garbage and somebody else's. So it might be a good idea to maybe switch the Mondays to the Tuesdays. That way we're not gonna have to worry about when it's gonna be picked up on a long weekend and whatnot. And as far as being picked up every 2 weeks, myself, I could probably get away with that, but there's a lot of other families in my neighborhood that you see the piles of garbage that they have, there's no way that they'd be able to hang on for 2 weeks for their garbage. So if you can fix up the problem with the scheduling and maybe move it to Tuesdays and not have it every 2 weeks, that would be preferable. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Welcome, and just a reminder as well, you can give your name and address to the deputy clerk.
Elizabeth Rose, 51 Dixon Avenue. Here to state that a small town in the middle of the bush with a great many people who are older and have difficulty pushing bins are really going to have difficulty running away from bears. So I would very much prefer that garbage went out once a week. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good job.
Welcome, sir. State your name and address for the deputy clerk.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Russell McDonald. I'm gonna give you 2 addresses. Because I represent both myself as a resident and I, excuse me, I represent my tenants. Who of course are taxpayers, but through me. So I'll give you an address at 24 Allen Avenue. And again at 47 Main Street, unit number 1. So I brought a few notes with me. And the people before me made some great points. And I have a few of my own first too. And many of them are very much the same as what they made. But as a resident, and this is speaking for myself, my concerns are both around health and safety. So as far as health goes, my concern is mostly in the summertime, which have are dark bins that you're asking to have set up for 2 weeks. Those are like little solar furnaces in there. You're going to get families putting anything from dirty diapers to festering meats, vegetables, other types of food products. And so I'm just wondering, how healthy is that? And I know you don't respond, so I can't really ask you a question. I'm gonna ask the question so that you can take the person that's maybe responsible and get them to find that answer. Right? And so, whoever it is that deals with the health unit, has anybody asked the health unit what type of viral or bacterial type of problems we might have with this little incubator we've got outside our houses in the middle of the summertime? You know, this rotting stuff for like 2 weeks at a time. Don't know if it's a problem or not, but I think potentially, especially for older people, people with like myself that have problems breathing. possibly, disabled people. People that maybe have to put their garbages outside their windows because there's no other place to put it. You know, use big windows or under the air conditioner. I mean, there's a potential there, I think, for some health issues or some health problems, some that I think need to be addressed. And I know this is an initial meeting. We have another meeting coming where you kind of tell everybody what you've planned and what's going to happen. And I think that information be important. Additionally, it's safety. And I've heard from the people here, the concerns with that safety. And I agree. I mean, we forget that our olfactory type of senses that we have only last a few minutes. So when I walk into a house or you walk into a house, we smell bread and we go, ooh, somebody's baking bread. But within just a couple of minutes, that smell of bread's gone. Because it's just the way we're built, right? If you don't smell something specific for very long, we're not going to smell the garbage for very long. It's not the way we're built. But the bear's going to smell it. And the raccoons are going to smell it. The foxes. Even the stray dogs and the cats, you know, they're gonna smell it too. And so it becomes a safety issue. And so I'm just wondering, again, here we go with the question that you're not gonna answer me, and I get it, Stacy, I get it. But that person that's maybe your liaison here to the Ministry of Natural Resources, maybe to our own town people that look after the animals, and maybe a question as to what do we do and how do we prevent, you know, people being unsafe, you know, children, people with disabilities, people can't run, you know, yeah, they're gonna make a mess that we picked up when we get a bear in town. But I mean, what about the safety issue of it, right? So, be nice to see in that final report what you're gonna do about that type of thing, right? If you decide to do it every 2 weeks. So those are the two main things for me. Both the health issue part and the safety issue part, right? Now for my tenants as a landlord. They do pay their taxes. They pay them through me, and that's why from them and I pay you guys. And so they don't generally come up here and say much because it's not like they're paying their own hydro bill or their gas bill. They don't realize they're paying their taxes, but they do get those services, and those services are paid for. So I'm not sure how to start this, but when you originally started this bid program, you came up with an arbitrary number. That arbitrary number was 3. And so what you said to tenants was, all right, family of 3, let's say, let's use 4, so we won't use the same number 3. So 2 adults, 2 children in an apartment. You don't have the same rights as a same homeowner with 2 adults and 2 children that are in the house. So I rent out the house to a family of 2 adults and 2 children, and they get themselves a beautiful little garbage bin. And you do your job, you pick it up, you pay the taxes, you go with it. But at the apartment building level, you said, no, that doesn't work. We need 3 of those families into 1 garbage bin. And so now you're asking those 3 families with 1 garbage bin to go for 2 weeks. Now, I asked the question, you're not gonna answer, I get it. What makes you believe that a family with 2 adults and 2 children in an apartment makes less garbage than a tenant in a house, same 2 adults with 2 children? They eat the same food, they wear the same clothes, they shop at the same places, right? They produce the same amount of garbage. Landlords have been very innovative to try and congest that 3 family garbage thing into 1 bin. Hasn't been easy, but it's doable. You stretch it out to 2 weeks, it's not so doable. So when you started this, or when you thought about picking up every 2 weeks, I'm sure you all did the same thing because you're responsible. I get it, you're responsible adults here. And I'm sure you said, okay, well, let's look at the schedule. Let's drive around. And I'm sure each one of you at least took 1 day and drove around right? And looked at the garbage. I mean, you're not gonna propose something you don't know, and I get this. And I think if you think about it, as you drove around, what were the bins with the lids open? The garbage bag on top, right? The 45-degree angle, they're being stuffed in. Well, it's your multi-families. And those are the ones that are gonna be affected most. And we have a lot of multi-families in this town. I feel sorry for people like my friend Shabbat, which I've known for years, Mr. Shabbat. His business is directly in front of a 16-unit white and green monster. Behind him is multifamily. I mean, how's that gonna affect his business? What is he gonna be smelling? Probably not a lot for very long, because again, it's the way our oral factory system works in our body, but, I mean, that's where the garbage is gonna be. I mean, that's where the garbage is gonna be open, that's where the bins are gonna be out of control. So what is, again, no answer, but what's the plan to deal with the multifamilies? Okay, there's probably solutions. Number one is just to agree that the 3-to-1 doesn't really work. The 1-to-1, and sure, that family in apartments will create the same amount of garbage in the house. Give them a bin. I'm not so sure that the town wants to start providing more bins. Not even sure if there's enough space to do it that way. Can you bring that number down? 2-to-1. Still probably wouldn't work. So where's the hybrid? Right? Now, I know as a landlord, it's fantastic. I get free dump passes. So for that family in that house, I get 2 dump passes. And thank you very much. I mean, it makes a world of difference to a landlord. You take the dump, go to the dump a couple times a year, get rid of the tenant's garbage. It's no cost to me. But by the same token, that building across from Lad Shabba's business over on the road has 16 apartments. And I'm using that because my apartments, the most I have is 8, so 16 is more sensational. Right? If he gets the same 2 dump passes for 16 families, so maybe there's a hybrid there. Maybe, maybe you reduce the count from 3 to 2. Maybe go 2 dump passes per unit rather than per house. Maybe down a little bit of the landlord a bit. Maybe not 100%. I don't know what your plan is. I haven't seen a plan as far as multifamily goes. So again, question you're not going to answer. What's the plan? Last thing, and it's just something I kind of heard an hour and a half ago. And just maybe just for you for a thought. Inflation went down. Did you know this? From 2.4 to 1.7. Much of that was 16% due to gasoline and fuels. The other 14% was part of that with the 14% reduction in the cost of natural gas. Now, this particular contract that you have isn't very labor intensive. You also don't die in the truck driving around, right? He picks up the dumps, he does a great job, really good at it. I appreciate it very much. But the cost there is your gasoline in that truck. Yes, there's the upkeep of the gasoline and stuff like that. Is there any way to negotiate that with the cost of gasoline coming down? Is there any way to negotiate? Because again, the contract's gonna be up in September. Because of the less input costs. Maybe the costs can come down a little bit to help offset the this idea of picking up the garbage once every 2 weeks rather than 1. Again, I'm not a negotiator for the town. Just thought I'd bring it up. It would be possibly a great something to look at. Additionally, when the natural gas and gasoline and fuel costs that the town now pays. So that's for our snow removal, our town trucks, the heavy equipment. All that's going to come down by about 16%, but we haven't seen it yet because they just took the carbon tax. The pool and the heating, the natural gas, the heating, which we won't see probably until the winter time, is actually down 14%. So there's going to be some operational, let's call it I'm not even sure how you would say that, I don't know how they count there, but there's gonna be some offsets there. Where I think you're gonna find that you're spending a little less money when it comes to gasoline, fuels, and natural gas, especially in places like the pool, where they use a ton.
Sorry, I'm just gonna interrupt you there. We just need to keep it with the waste management.
Yeah,
I
of
do
course.
appreciate it. There will be more upcoming
Okay,
public
then
meetings on
that's-
other
yeah,
topics,
sure,
but
sure.
we're just
So-
gonna
so
bring it back to waste
At least with the
management.
base management, then, when it comes to the contract that's due in September, there may be some optimization in that contract. Whereby maybe we can get a few lower costs because those input costs are coming down. So that was just a kind of I kind of figured out today. Not sure if anybody else would kind of. Other than that, that's about it. I mean, I've asked the questions, you said nothing. I appreciate the fact that this is the first meeting and that we're allowed to come in and we're discuss these things. I'm waiting for those types of answers, and I'm sure you're all gonna give your best and actually bring the public into it and say, look, guys, this is what we're doing. And these are very select things that are gonna make it work, or whatever, right? But there you go. So I appreciate the opportunity to say something, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone further from the public? Just a reminder to state your name and address for the deputy clerk.
So my name is Tracy Fong, and I am up here on behalf of an address at 32 Furlong Street in Kirkland Lake, which is one of the group homes. So I'm from Community Living, Kirkland Lake. We have 5 group homes in our community, scattered throughout. We're the 5th largest employer in Kirkland Lake. We contribute over $7 million to the local economy. When these homes were built, we were allocated twice a week garbage pickup. So this was in 1990. Somehow that got lost. When TNR was doing it, that happened. Somehow it got lost with the new contract. And we've had to fight for the twice a week pickup, which we have been getting. And I know we've had several communications with people from Mike Aldred, Ashley Bilodeau. So it's been historic conversations. So with our group homes, we have adults that live in there. Some of them have 6-bed group homes, some are 8, some are 9. Most of these adults are incontinent, so they wear large diapers. If you could imagine a 9-bed group home with 5 diaper changes a day for 14 days is 630 adult diapers. There's no way those are gonna fit into the 1 or 2 garbage cans that were allocated. We currently have garbage sheds or manual pickup for our garbage right now. We've never been contacted to tell us that this was going to discontinue. You said that there were 40 people that had those kinds of arrangements. We would have appreciated, heads up, so we could have known this was coming. We're concerned too with health and safety issues, much like everybody else is talking about with the bears. If some of our vulnerable residents are outside, they don't always know that the bears aren't friendly, not to mention raccoons, skunks, and everything else. So we have a huge concern about that. And the other concern we have is if we're going to be going down to garbage pickup twice a week, should we not be looking at composting and having green bins every week for food waste? That might alleviate some of the issues. And I'm hoping I've caught everything. If I haven't, Lori's going to come up and hit on another address. So those are our issues, and we would like to have a meeting, perhaps with somebody so we can talk in depth. Because 2 garbage cans aren't gonna cut it for us. We're not like Extended Care or Tech Pioneer Residents where we could put a garbage bin in our front yard and have it removed every week or every 2 weeks. And not to mention that the neighbors are gonna complain. We already have issues with garbage especially in the summer, being ripped open, and neighbors are complaining, and we have to have our workers take time away from our residents to go and pick up all the garbage. So lots of concerns
in that area.
Thank you. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
The next member of the public? Okay, thank you very much, everyone that participated tonight. We do appreciate your input. Item number 7, consideration of proposed bylaws. Oh, sorry. No. Madam Deputy Clerk, please read the directions stemming from this public meeting.
That council received the comments and questions from members of the public, and finally, that administration address questions and concerns from residents in a supplemental report to council prior to the award of 616-25 RFP Waste Management Services.
Thank you. This is the recommendation moving forward. This concludes the public meeting for the waste management service level changes this evening. And then, thank you, Deputy Clerk. We do appreciate it. So what that means for members of the public is there will be a report coming back at a later date. And you noticed everyone was taking notes. So your questions that you answered tonight, hopefully will be included in that report for everyone. And that is, our agendas are always posted on the Kirkland Lake website and on our social media, so you'll know the next time this issue comes about. So thank you very much to members of the public. And we'll now rise from that public meeting back to our regular meeting at item number 4, petitions and delegations. 4.1, Planet Youth Temiskaming. Update May 2025, and we're going to welcome via Zoom Erica Alterman, Public Health Promoter, Planet Youth Temiskaming Coordinator. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, it might take me a minute to share my screen. It's been a while since I've used Zoom. Okay. That's working? Thumbs up? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here today to present to all of you. My name is Erica Alterman. I'm a health promoter with Northeastern Public Health, formerly Temiskaming Health Unit, and I do coordinate Planet Youth across the district of Temiskaming. I'm here today to share a short update on our progress and also some of the challenges that we faced over the last year. So Planet Youth is a data-driven, community-based initiative that's focused on reducing youth substance use and improving youth well-being. We officially began in fall 2023 with a survey of local teens to better understand their lives, their views, and behavior. And this data helps us see where our communities can invest in the supports and opportunities that young people need to thrive. So instead of telling youth to just say no to drugs and alcohol, Planet Youth aims to build a supportive community environment around youth and to make the healthy choice the easy choice. Our first survey was completed in 2023 by 555 grade 10 and 11 students across all 5 high schools in the district. And with that, we achieved an 83% response rate. And our next survey will be this coming fall. So the Planet Youth North Action Team represents Kirkland Lake and the surrounding area. Our membership includes a strong mix of local partners, the town of Kirkland Lake, the OPP, the health unit, Kunu Wanamano, local schools, the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, the Santa Sante, and youth themselves. Together, we work to engage the community, raise awareness, and move our local action plan forward to support youth well-being. So I'd like to share a few key results from the Planet Youth Survey from 2023. These results that we're looking at are specific to North Temiskaming. So only 24% of youth say that they want to continue living in their neighborhood in the future, and just 25% feel that there are enough activities available for youth in the community. And that's consistent with what we're hearing during our youth engagement as well. We know that access to leisure activities in the community can reduce things like crime and substance use among youth. And also things like physical activity, the arts, and recreation also help young people manage stress, anxiety, and depression. When youth have access to a variety of activities, they build friendships, support networks, and they have a stronger sense of belonging. And when youth feel connected and valued, they're more likely to stay, or return to their communities to contribute and to take on leadership roles in their community. So the action team has asked students and community members what they wish their community had for young people. And youth have really great ideas. Many of them are simple, doable fixes. So one is a skate park that has less graffiti or isn't vandalized, an all-nighter at the movie theater, more sports, arts, and music programs for teens. And one that keeps coming up again and again is actually safer roads, more sidewalks, and better street lighting. It's really important that we listen to the youth in our communities. Not only do they know what they need, but they can also be empowered to contribute to the solution with the support of us as adult allies. So based on the survey data and through conversations with local youth and community members, our action teams have identified 3 key goals. So the first is strengthening youth's sense of belonging and connection to their community. The second is increasing access to a variety of leisure opportunities for youth, so making them more available, accessible, and diverse. And the third is building community awareness of protective factors, so things like community connectedness, participation in activities, and parental support. So our action plan is already in motion. In January, we completed a youth engagement training, and we're now actively rolling out key initiatives, including a floating youth hub, the Youth Activity Fund, and parent cafes, which I'll share about in the next slides. So the Youth Activity Fund launched in February of this year. The community was invited to apply for micro grants of up to $1,500 for projects that increase connection and increase access to leisure activities for youth. This year, we were able to fund 28 projects across the district, distributing $24,250. One example that I want to highlight is the Active Living for Youth project, which allows low-income youth to access the Kirkland Lake complex for free. Another initiative is our parent cafes. Cafes are structured gatherings led by parents for parents, where people can come and share stories, build connections, and support each other. The cafes focus on what helps families stay strong, like managing stress, building relationships, and finding support. And as of last week, 22 parents have been trained to lead these cafes and bring them to their own communities. Cafes have already started in the South End with great success and good feedback from parents, and we're very excited to start implementing in the North and Central areas as well. So the next slide is going to look at floating youth hubs, and rather than describe it to you, I'm just going to share a video that local youth have created to help us promote it. It should be about a minute.
Ever wish there were more fun things to do in our community? That's what Planet Youth is all about, helping to make life better for youth like us.
It's a movement that brings the community together to support youth, creates safe spaces, and gives us more ways to have fun without pressure.
It's a place where you chill, play games, and be ourselves.
One of the coolest things Planet Youth does is floating youth hubs.
You can play sports, listen to music, do art, or just hang out with your friends.
There's also adult volunteers and counselors if you ever want to talk.
Oh, and did I mention? There's free food, like really good food.
And the best part, it's open to everyone between the ages 12 to 17. You belong here.
Or you can just come for the snacks, no judgment.
Want to join? Just show up.
Check out the Planet Youth website for events near you.
Love that video. There's actually a hub tonight happening at KLDCS, I think until 6:30 or 7 p.m. Yeah. Okay, so on to some challenges and barriers. Prevention work is expansive, and paid and protected time to dedicate to it is really essential. So despite all this great momentum, a lack of dedicated staffing, sorry, I switched forward. A lack of dedicated staffing within communities remains the greatest barrier to our impact and the sustainability of these interventions. A potential solution that's been identified by our action team and our steering committee could include the town allocating a staff person for youth programming to ensure that this important work is prioritized in the community. Through this project, we acknowledge and we've learned the importance of local knowledge and relationships, and that each community knows their resources, capacity, and needs best. And without someone on the ground to be actively building those relationships with youth and community members, to lead programming and to really coordinate efforts that are locally responsive, then we will be unable to meet the needs of youth in each community or scale up successful interventions such as the Floating Youth Hub. With our current capacity, we are only able to offer a hub once per month in our 4 pilot communities, so just 1 in Kirkland Lake each month. So by investing in young people today, we're helping shape the next generation of local leaders, workers, and families. We want youth to stay, return, and contribute to the long-term growth and vitality of our communities. We also know that prevention is chronically underfunded, but we know that when it is prioritized and done well, it pays off. So research shows that every $1 invested in upstream prevention can save between $5 and $18 in future social costs. So that includes things like healthcare, justice, and social services. We also know that when young people feel connected and supported, they're less likely to engage in risky behaviors and more likely to give back. And that means healthier and safer communities for everyone. I really like this line. By working together to build a supportive and nurturing community around children, we can set them up for health, happiness, and life success and empower them to reach their fullest potential. I like it because it emphasizes that caregiving is a collective responsibility. It's not just on parents, it really requires wraparound supports from families, schools, and communities to ensure that our youth grow up healthy, happy, and engaged. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councilor Kiley?
Thank you for a very informative and very professional presentation. It certainly highlights the need for activities for our youth. So thank you again. We look forward to working with you.
Absolutely. Anything else from members of council? Nothing noted. May I have a mover to accept? Councillor Shabbat, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Be it resolved that the delegation entitled Planet Youth Commissioning Update May 2025 be received for information purposes.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you very much, Erica. We do
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Item number 5, acceptance of minutes and recommendations. 5.1, councillor minutes, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owens. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Be it resolved that council approved minutes of the following meetings, minutes of the regular meeting of council held May 6, 2025, and minutes of the public meeting held May 6.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 5.2, local and regional board minutes. May I have a mover? Councillor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Owens.
Be it resolved that council received the minutes of the following meetings. Minutes of the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board held February 20th, 2025, and minutes of the Northeastern Public Health Board of Health held April 3rd, 2025.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6, reports of municipal officers and communications. 6.1, verbal update, 2025 Funum Conference update. Alan Smith, CAO, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Madam Mayor, to members of council. I attended the Funum Conference from May the 4th to May the 7th with Mayor White, Councillor Shaba, and Dykins. I won't go into too much detail. I believe the mayor and council members will be giving a detailed update. Funum is an opportunity to network with other officials and staff from other northern communities. I attended a variety of seminars, including the Bear Pit, which was an opportunity to ask provincial ministers that were in attendance questions. This included the ministers of transportation, mines, municipal affairs, and economic development. However, it's unfortunate that municipalities in attendance are not able to delegate to those ministries that were in attendance, as the next opportunity is not until August at the AMO conference. I did talk with the president of Phnom last year about this, but the possibility of being able to delegate. However, this might be something that council may want to, in the future, pass a motion sometime for other northern municipalities that could support. We should bring attention to this missed opportunity. Thank you.
Any questions for the CAO? Madam Deputy Clerk, I'll have you read the motion.
Be it resolved that the verbal report entitled 2025 Phnom Conference Update be received for information.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carries unanimous. Item 6.2, request for event permit, KL Pride Group Community Day event. And this will be presented by Amberly Spellman, Deputy Clerk and Lottery Licensing Officer, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-ADM-005 entitled Request for Event Permit, KL Pride Group Community Day Event be received, and that council directs that an event permit be issued to the KL Pride Group for Saturday, June 21st, 2025, between the hours of 11:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. And finally, that council hereby waive the $100 permit fee requirement as outlined in bylaw 8665. Okay, so good evening, council, through you, Madam Mayor. The KL Pride Group is requesting permission to host a community day event on June 21st at 12 to 4 o'clock p.m. The request is from 11:30 to 4:30 is just to include a road barrier setup and takedown. The request involves the closure of Duncan Avenue between Government Road and Prospect Avenue. The group has also secured use of Rotary Park for their event. In terms of agency comments, the Ontario Provincial Police noted concern with the group's original request to close part of Government Road down, being a main barrier or main through town between Prospect Avenue and LaBelle Avenue. But the group is very amenable to instead hosting the event on Duncan Avenue, and the OPP cited no concerns with this. Public Works Department, Fire and Emergency Services, and Bylaw Enforcement also had no concerns with this request. In terms of road closure, the KL Pride Group will coordinate with these details through the town's Public Works Department, who then oversees the road closure notices to residents on the town's social media platforms. The OPP did the use of Jersey cement barriers for this event, with pedestrians participating in the event on the street. Administrators was really agreeable with this idea. Public Works will oversee the setup and takedown of these barriers. A forthcoming road closure policy will detail processes surrounding events such as this in future. And as noted in the report, historically, no fees have been collected from any requesting organizations for free event permits. And as such, council is being presented with recommendation to formally waive the requirement as outlined in bylaw 8665. So the requesting agency will provide the town with a certificate of insurance as is normal process. Administration foresee no issue with council approving the event permit for this type of community event, as it will promote positive community partnerships and which is in line with council's strategic objectives and priorities. Any questions?
Any questions from members of council? Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, for clarity, it says, post Duncan Avenue between Government Road and Prospect. I don't know, like, cause Government Road is, and then Prospect is, so I'm not sure. And I may have to declare, conflict if, yeah, so what road is being closed in between there?
Can you bring it up?
Do you understand what I mean?
Because the map is included, correct?
It won't include, like, the Government Road will still be open and it'll be going towards the police station only as far as like the old Mama's restaurant. It'll stop there. That's Prospect. I know that's why it sounds
Not my
confusing.
fault. Thank you.
So it's just kind of in front of Rotary Park stretch a little bit further.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Anything further from members of council? Just before I put it to vote, I just want to commend staff on this. When the group first came, it stirred up a lot of nostalgia of things that we remember, those block parties that we remember from our youth. And it was a process to get to where we are today. And honestly and truly, it's the work of this fairly newly formed group and staff that enabled this to happen. And, you know, we saw with Rotary, the block party at Rotary Park for the Santa Claus Parade. And when we have opportunities to gather like this, especially in the downtown core, it really means a lot to the community. So I do commend both staff and especially members of this group. So that being said, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6.3, proposed 2025 user fees and charges. This will be presented by Lloyd Crocker, treasurer, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-4-016 entitled Proposed 2025 User Fees and Charges be received. And finally, that a public meeting be held on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 4:40 p.m.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to council. You have before you a report which summarizes some of the factors, some of the details, some of the decision making that went into the user fees and charges schedule, such as see attached, the changes that are there. We're planning a public meeting on June 3rd to give the public a chance to obviously comment on this. This affects many of them. Basically, that's what we're looking at. You have the option, of course, of picking, off the schedules or doing something different as you always do. I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns from members of council? I do want to thank staff for including the community feedback we received during the budget process, indicating the support for the introduction and increases of user fees. I believe the support was 70 respondents out of 95 and 72 in support respectively. It's important to note that council and staff do use the feedback we receive via official channels to make these decisions, and I encourage members of the public to give their feedback either before the June 3rd meeting or attend the meeting to have your opinions recorded publicly. Also, if you're an individual who is interested in a seat at this table in the future, it's a great opportunity to showcase to the public your involvement and understanding of the municipal practices. Councillor Owens.
I couldn't, sorry to remember, I couldn't answer the ask the question area because I was still looking for my bylaw number.
Okay.
In the document that is supported, and I might be shooting myself in the foot with this question, but bylaw 24029. Did we pass it the way it's presented to us? Because according to this, we should be charging for fire permits. And I remember here in Holt, we had a whole to do about last year when this was passed, but this bylaw, if it passed that way, something's not right in the way we're doing things right now.
Okay.
We say that our fire permits are free, but according to this bylaw, if it was passed and numbered the way it is right here, and I can't find where we did it, we're not doing that this year. We should be charging $20 a permit, but we're advertising them for free.
Okay, that is very good.
Madam Mayor, I don't have a answer tonight to that. We didn't review the fire bylaw at this point because it was a 2-year bylaw. It wasn't subject to change.
Yeah.
Under that, but I can certainly kind of.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if the bylaw that's here is the right one or if it got modified, killed, or I remember those
Yeah.
conversations on that one.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Anything further from members of council? I just want to. Yeah, we're good because we're just receiving them for this evening. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried. Item number 6.4, 2025 water and wastewater rates. This will also be presented by the treasurer, Lloyd Crocker. May I have a mover? Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Ranger.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-4-017 entitled 2025 water and wastewater rates be received. And finally, that a public meeting be held in relation to the proposed water and wastewater rates on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 4:40 p.m.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Here in Community Council, this water rates report is consistent with our budget from earlier in the year. We had a fair bit of discussion during the budget about the fact that we have to start preparing ourselves for what the asset management plan and much of our public works department has been telling us now for years. The work on our infrastructure is behind. We're all aware of it. We've all heard the complaints. We've learned some harsh lessons about costing here in the north recently. When we put the Taylor Avenue project out for a contract, we went from a $2.5 million project to a $8 million project for the same work. So the reality is we have to try and source some funding to deal with some of the infrastructure challenges that we have. The rates are pretty high. We won't pretend they aren't. They're calculated based on our future needs. And that's why we're looking at them like that. The asset management plan is the primary driver of the actual rates in this report. We could have easily went much higher and still had that infrastructure gap that we're all looking at every day. But we're trying, we're making some effort, we're doing some planning to try and adapt to that new reality of costs and the gap that we have. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from members of council? Councillor Owen?
It's not actually a question, it's more a comment, if that's okay, your worship. Your worship, the council and to the public. Kirkland Lake is not unique in its wastewater and water deficit in terms of our infrastructure. We're probably worse off than a number of communities. And this is really a provincial issue, especially for small communities that do not have the industrial base to draw their taxes off. I think I can say safely that nobody on this council likes increasing costs to residents. But we are only one major failure away from disaster. And I'm not being dramatic here. I mean, that's realistic. When we have pipes that are up to 100 years old in the ground. We saw it on one occasion, I believe it was last winter, where we had 4 or 5 breaks. Perhaps it was the winter before. We have to start working on this now. And we have to continue to delegate and to lobby to the province to help us get the money we need. Otherwise, ratepayers could be looking at a much bigger increase, so I just thought that needed to be said.
Thank you for those comments. Councillor Shabbat?
Yeah, to Madam Mayor, to the treasurer. I'm looking at page 7 of the slide. I think it has 2025 water and wastewater rates. And there are 2 items there: disposal of domestic water waste, local source, working hours, and disposal of domestic wastewater and non-local source working hours. Can you go to that part of the slide if I ask my question?
Sure.
Are you there? To me, the non-local source point 0.06 is very, very low. It's very, very low. I mean, non-local source means someone from, say, Matheson or B-Town, whatnot. Is that, I don't know, maybe I confuse things. So if anybody in outlying areas want to dump their wastewater in our system, that's what you charge, plus 15%. And then you indicated that that's not at all. That might include actual labor and material, which brings me to my second question. So how do they know, how do people know how much to pay? Because this is clear, but then you said it includes actual labor and material. So on top of all of that, right? Is that?
Yeah. So through you, Madam Mayor, to answer part of the question.
Okay.
We have some capacity in our water, in our sewage treatment system. So we're trying to find some new revenue sources. We have discussions at budget. This is one of the opportunities. We're not limiting ourselves to the local vendors. So, I think those rates are probably reflective of the fact that with that capacity, we're just trying to bring in some more revenue. The second part about the actual labor and material, I'm not as familiar with that. I'm not sure if Stefan can speak to that in particular.
Through you, Madam Mayor and Council. The labor. Yeah. The way we've been operating for the domestic waste is that the labor cost is included in the rate if it's during working hours. After hours, it is an option for vendors to come and dispose, but they would be subject to full. We would be invoicing them for full labor costs and material costs after hours, plus this rate.
Can I follow up? Please?
Follow up?
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but we have to be very clear. I mean, if I'm bringing in waste from, say, V-Town, I need to know what the charge would be. You know, as opposed to say, well, you're gonna pay this, but deliver a material will be additional to that, which it's not, to me, it's not very clear here. I mean, we're saying, well, deliver the material will be $100 an hour for 2 hours. On top of that, people will get that. Then they can decide to come to Kirkland Lake to dump or not go to Kirkland Lake to dump because the cost will be a deciding factor. So the way I see it, I'm not, if you're saying this is already included in your rate points, let's say, I'm just worried about the non-local source because the local source mean people that live here that wanted to, is that correct? People that live here that wanted to dump, you know, for a contractor from Kirkland Lake, you want to get dump? Is that what I mean?
It's where the material is coming from, whether the material is coming
The
locally.
material, not the contractor. Okay.
Correct,
All right,
correct.
all right.
Sorry for the confusion.
Okay, all right, but still, I'm looking at is that we need to be very crystal clear on the total cost. So people would know, you know, you do someone report, this has going to cost you to change your window. That's it, no more, no less. So you have to make up your mind if you want to go with that quote or go with someone else. So here, there's ambiguity here because yes, while I understand point, the 6 cents, plus 15%, then what is unknown is your actual labor and material charge. That you said is inclusive, which is above the minimum. I just want that to be very clear. Thank you very much.
Yes, I do have a comment to mention that every vendor that does want to dispose of any domestic waste has to go through the Public Works Department through an approval process. Because it's not because they label it domestic waste that it's not up for debate as to whether or not it's acceptable. So every time that we have a new source, the request comes through the Public Works Department and we get in touch with Aqua to get this material approved. Once approved, the vendor is given all the information in regards to the rates and after hours services.
Thank you both. Councillor Kylie?
To you, your worship, just for curiosity, do we get much usage for out of town waste?
For you, Madam Mayor, yes, there is interest there, and we have received requests.
It's like septic tanks and.
Correct, holding tanks, septic tanks, yes.
Okay.
Anything further from members of council? Nothing noted? All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimous. Item number 6.5, 2024 flood event review and remedial options. Esteban Forte, Director of Public Works. And we will also be joined by EXP project managers David Lang and Chad Chanette. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Yes? There's 3 chairs. You can please join us. Welcome, gentlemen. May I have a mover? Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Ranger.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-PW-006 entitled 2024 flood event review and remedial options be received. And finally, that council endorse the engineering review of 2024 flood and conceptual remedial options report prepared by EXP Services Inc.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you may proceed.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. In April 2024, the town experienced a major flooding event that led to the declaration of a municipal emergency. A combination of rapid snowmelt, heavy rainfall, and aging infrastructure along Murdoch and Rand Creek overwhelmed both the storm system and the sanitary system, causing significant damage to nearby homes. Given the severity of the event, the town retained EXP Services to conduct a comprehensive engineering review and identify conceptual remedial options. Their findings are detailed in the report, which were formally presented to council tonight. It is staff's recommendation that council endorses the EXP's report as a foundation for future planning and investment in critical flood mitigation infrastructure. At this time, I'd like to invite Chad Shinnett and David Lang from EXP to present their findings and proposed solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you. So I'll get started and then Chad will take over halfway. So why are we here today? As you remember, there was photos are up there. There's of the flooded areas and it was quite significant and I believe everyone remembers it still as it was yesterday. Going to the next slide. So just an outline of the presentation, we have the flood of April 2024, a methodology, recreating the flooded areas, concept overview, probable costs, summary and recommendations, and then the next steps. Next slide. Okay. So I'll just go over this quickly. The flood of April 2024 from Environment Canada, about 3 inches in 40 hours of rain occurred. And then there was what we calculated as about significant snow melt in the Gull Lake area, so it's 3.5 inches in 40 hours. Adding up to a total accumulation of 6.5 inches in 40 hours. And also obviously resulting in the significant property damage and into town assets. Next slide. So then a brief bit about our methodology. So we did background review, which is also a desktop study. We reviewed the town infrastructure maps as constructed drawings from the town. Photos from news articles and social media. And weather data from Environment Canada. Then we attended the sites at various locations along Murdoch Creek and Rand Creek. And visually reviewed the storm sewer pipes, surveyed the Murdoch Creek channels, surveyed the inlet outlet of the pipe inlets and outlets of along Murdoch Creek. And then we created an engineering model using a computer program to start to run scenarios. Next slide. Okay. Recreating the flood. So as you can see in the photo there on the left, the area was flooded, has a slope to it, and we're able to actually pick off the flood elevation for that area, and we use that to estimate how much water was in the area and the flow rates from the sources. And next slide. So I have created a map here of the flooded areas based on the information we had. And so you can see the first bit up there by Gull Lake, just under 1.3 million cubic meters of water was released in 40 hours. And that all came through the public works yard as the first one, and then down to Allen Avenue, and it flooded that area where 5th and a bit of 4th Street. And then continue on down past down into Carter Avenue and Dixon and Pollock and so on, and then over to into the Premier and Rand Avenues, and then finally another flood area at the confluence of Rand Creek and Murdoch Creek. And then next slide, and then Chad will take.
Yeah, so after we did some analysis, we came up with a few concepts of how we mitigate this kind of flooding in the future. So next slide, please. First one's pretty low hanging fruit. When we were on site, we noticed, why I say on site, I mean, doing our investigation through town, a lot of ditches and culverts. Have been maintained over the years or are in need of, maintenance. This is stuff the town can self-perform. You don't need a contractor to do this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Stefan, but I think you guys have already started doing this.
As of last year, yes.
There you go. So that's a good first step. Definitely not a silver bullet, but it will help. So next slide, concept number 2. Next slide. Oh, that's good.
Sorry, it looks like the photo, it's supposed to slide across, but.
Oh,
On the last one or this? One?
There's,
looks like we list an animation. Is this a PDF or a PowerPoint presentation?
I turned it into a PDF to display.
Oh, that's. Okay, I can explain it just from this map.
Do you want me to try and put the PowerPoint version up?
I think I explained what I need to. So if you're looking at the screen, and in the middle of the screen, there's 3 dashed lines. Those represent areas of Murdoch Creek that go through people's backyards. And we can't do a whole heck of, and those particular areas have pretty high velocities because they're pretty narrow channels. So in the flood event like we had in 2024, those areas tend to spill over the ditches. So what we'd like to do in those areas is possibly line with gaping baskets or concrete, something of this nature to avoid that and avoid future erosion and avoid more maintenance issues. Like if we were able to line those areas, we obviously wouldn't have gravel spilling downstream in a rain event. Now, Premier and Rand, and now the concept 2.3, she's pointing to the middle of the screen. So it's called Premier and Rand Avenue upgrades. There's actually 2, yes, thank you. In that area, there's 2 culverts. One's about a 1500 millimeter diameter, one's about a 900 millimeter diameter pipe. What we found in our analysis is that's a pinch point. If we're able to increase the size of the culverts in that area, we could allow more flow and they would drop the levels during the flood. Save some money. We'd like to just, instead of having a culvert, maybe just open ditch. We could explore that more in a further level of design. Okay, now we go to the next slide. No, that's the next slide. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this concept, we think is probably going to work the best for the town, although this, of course, is the most expensive one as well. So essentially what we'd like to do is create a flow control structure right where Gold Lake enters into Murdoch Creek down by Public. This would allow us to control the level that Gold Lake is at. Because what your problem was during the 2024 flood is Kirkland Lake flows north to south down to Murdoch Creek, and for the most part, it does that just fine in a regular rain event. Water just makes its way through the culverts, channels, ditches, and is able to get to Murdoch Creek and make its way out of town. When you have a prolonged rainstorm like we did last year, what happens is Gold Lake rises and it spills into Murdoch Creek in addition to all the rain you're getting through town already. So those 2 things combined is what causes the flooding. So what we'd like to be able to do is basically space those 2 events out. And you can do that with an earth control structure, which is essentially just a dam. What we do is we lower the probably a sluice gauge or structure like that and hold back the water for as long as we need to, allow the water to flow through town, wait till the storm's done, and then we just allow Gold Lake to kind of trickle through the Murdoch Creek. It's not a real, it's a pretty simple concept, but I think we think would be effective. We have modeled this and with the model, it was able to hold back the 2024 storm. Next slide. Three. Okay, next, yes. So, this is, sounds like it, talking with Stefan might be a bit of a problem. This is at the end of town, next to Kirkland Lake Power. As you see on the right, there's a little earth dam there. Now, if we were able to get rid of that, that would allow a lot more water to flow through Murdoch Creek and wouldn't build up as much during the flood event. Problem is that Kirkland Lake Power apparently needs it for its operations. Stefan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've already spoken with them,
We've
pushed
introduced
back a little bit.
Yeah, we introduced a subject to Kirkland Lake Power that this is something that's coming down the pipeline. That we've identified an issue with their weir that they're utilizing to cool their turbines. You need to draw the water. However, we're strong believers that there's alternate methods of doing this without holding back this water in town.
Next slide. Okay, so this is just down by the rink. The way the storm sewer along Allen Ave is currently configured, instead of being just one smooth continuous sewer, in the middle, it stops, the water has to build up, and then it spills into the next section of sewer. No idea how that was built or whether it was built that way, but that's what it was. So we'd like to correct that and install a larger storm sewer in there, and that would allow more flow and get things rolling a bit better. Slide, yeah. Chain. Concept 5. So this is down by Rand Creek. Again, we had water rolling over the road here during 2024. It washed out a good chunk of the road. We would like to remove those 2 culverts and the head wall. The head wall is showing some signs of wear and tear, a little bit of damage. So we'd like to increase the size of those culverts and potentially clean the channel that's downstream of those 2 culverts, widen it. Maybe some political difficulties there. DFO and NDCP ministries like this. Also potentially remove the bridge that's there now that's not being used. I think it's condemned.
It's condemned.
Yes. And widen the channel there as well. Get rid of its abutments. Okay, next slide. And the last one's a pretty easy one to understand. This is at the tail end of Murdoch Creek. We'd like to simply just widen the creek in this area with excavation and line it with riprap. Just to increase the volume of the creek and the amount of flow that can get through it, speed it up a little bit. That's just a summary of our estimated costs. Obviously, we wouldn't expect the town to come with $8 million and $9 million right away and do all of these things, but we think you could do it in small chunks. Just come back to it, you know what I mean? So perhaps you clean out your infrastructure, perhaps you maybe you can get that earth dam removed, do some of the cheaper things first, see what kind of effect that has, and then just keep going back to the list and, you know, do it wisely. Okay, next slide, please. So next steps as we see it, continue to clean the existing infrastructure. Town's already get that on the way. We'd like to continue with the preliminary and detailed design and ministry approvals. With council's blessing, of course, and then also help the town with any provincial funding that might be come available, however we can. Okay, and then we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councillor Owen, then Councillor Shaba, then Councillor Kylie.
To your worship, you sort of mentioned it, but you didn't play up. We're dealing with water, we're dealing with rivers. We're dealing with the environment. How confident are you that this process, should we embark on it, could move ahead and move ahead at a speed that would benefit like council during my lifetime? And I'm not exaggerating.
No, I understand.
we all know that when you're dealing with living streams and whatever, you're dealing with a lot more than just water flow. And I know your company has lots of experience with this, and that's why I'm asking, like, is it reasonable to expect this to happen sort of smoothly, or should we anticipate a long battle with environmental groups? And I'm not knocking environmental groups, don't take that out of context.
No.
And government.
So,
You mean, spoken with, MECPA now.
Ministry of Natural Resources, I spoke with them, and from what I discussed our plan about raising and lowering Gull Lake, and they said that they didn't see any showstoppers to that.
That's very preliminary, of course.
Yeah,
That will
no, I
be,
get that.
I'll absolutely, whatever path you guys decide to go on, our first step will be talking with these government officials. If they give us a no-go, then that's, we put on the brakes, and that's that, so we don't waste anything. So that'll be the first steps.
And what about further down the creek there? Like you're talking about widening it, you're talking about putting up artificial shorelines, basically, with your gauge, whatever you call them. Do you anticipate, is that work that you've done before in other communities, and it's being permitted in relatively good time?
Not in, I haven't had that experience personally, EXP certainly has. So I can't give you timelines tonight, but it's something that we could certainly look into and try and give you a feel out for you.
Well, we're probably early for timelines, but.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Shava?
Oh, yeah, okay, through you, Madam Chair, thank you very much, guys, for a good presentation. And I have comments and questions. Maybe I should start with my questions first. Concept one about Gull Lake. So, as you guys know, we do have two very important and significant public infrastructure in the vicinity of that lake, i.e. highway, and then the railroad. So by raising the level of that lake, I know in the springtime, if you ever go to that little parkette off highway, you see, you can't use it, it's all flooded, all the clothing. So if the town has to do anything, like if you're recommending burn or whatever source if you guys ever look into what impact that may have on those different
There would need to be a discussion with the MTO. How much freeboard do we have roughly?
So actually, the plan was actually lower the lake temporarily
Oh, I
before the
mentioned
flood
that.
event comes.
Lower the lake before.
And then let the flood event fill it back in.
Yes,
So you dam on the upper end of the lake, not the lower end of the lake.
on the upper end, like, yeah, by the public works.
Now, my other question is, again, I think I'd like to see us working together with any of the partners, especially you talk about the power plant. I think they have their own dam for their own reason. So I do know at times when the storm is coming, like hydro dams, they put everybody on notice and then they lower their water level to accommodate that, they lower that. So that needs to be a conversation between the town officials and the power plant. Okay, we got this coming, so that we can essentially maybe open that to do this temporarily until the storm is over with. You know, I don't know, it's something that you guys work with. Hydro does that. They warn people. You guys know that, and Hydro will do that for them. They have all dams all over the place. They warn you that if storm is coming, they lower that. They're coming there. So we gotta work together with them to see that. So I'm not really, sorry, Chair, I'm not really, Chad is one of my students way back, so I wouldn't disagree with it. I don't disagree with you, but I don't think they should remove that at our cost, at our expense, because you say, remove it will be at our expense, but we wanna remove it, we don't wanna remove it. So I think what we should do is to collaborate with them, to have a committee to work with them, say, we got storm coming, is there any way we could quantify that, Stefan, as best as we can? Is there any way to maybe open your sluice gate so that we can allow that water to go through without impedance? So that would be, to me, the best way to go by working together. So my comments. I think so all of us around this table, we do know that we need to do more in cleaning the ditches and the culverts and whatnot. We do know that. And Stefan, the department is doing an excellent job. But I like us to put in more efforts that we do put into snowfall, into storm. You know, because in snow, we've got a snow manual, we've got all of that, we are prepped for it. Everybody knows, we complain about how many inches to the plow or not inches to the plow, but I think if we can at least apply that energy towards planning for storm, that would be really nice so that we get a praise of what's happening. I don't know, the last one, but one in, 60-year storm, I don't know, what did you guys analyze for anyways? What is the frequency of occurrence for the past one?
I think we're over the 1, 2, and with the snow melt included.
Yeah, okay, so at least, you know, we could be appraised, and that's what I asked the question to CEO a few weeks ago. I said, what is our plan? Storm is coming, snow melt coming, what is our plan? And I think we should be having that plan every year. We should be reviewing that as we do for the snow removal. All of that's because actually storm is much more dangerous to people's properties than snow. Come to look about it, we should be spending more time with that. So for me, this is a very good presentation, and I think that maybe we should start with doing the ones that we can do and see how it goes. And then we move to the next step later on if you know it's storm that's maybe out of hand. So thank you very much for your presentation, and so look forward to more discussion on it.
Thank you. Councillor Kylie?
Through you, your worship, Rick asked most of the questions I had, but I'm curious, Alan, if we've done any preliminary investigation. Are there programs, government funding available?
Through Madam Mayor to Environmental Council, at the June 3rd, the upcoming council meeting, Director Fontaine will be bringing a report forward regarding a funding opportunity that the province announced through one of their water funds. So we are putting together an application for that, and we'll be bringing a report to council outlining what that consists of, which will speak to some of these initiatives that we could undertake. So there is some, say, hope in the horizon for funding, but to the consultant's point, we'll chip away at this piece by piece. But we believe that this particular funding could speak to a decent portion of this requirements to make our community safer.
Thank you.
Councillor Ranger?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the consultants, can you bring up the list of concepts 1 through 5 screen for me? Recent back. Don't go one more, yeah. Are those in sequential order or been cherry pick?
You cherry pick, yeah.
Okay, I have a follow-up. Is there any consequences to doing certain ones in sequential order so that they don't affect any type of potential flooding in current residential areas, because we only picked certain things that may bottleneck and create or acerbate issues that we currently have in those other sections?
Concept to the flow control, where that would basically help the entire town. But you're right, the other concepts would, like Allen Avenue storm sewer, for example, that's only gonna help folks along Allen Ave.
Would it potentially acerbate other areas?
I'd like to add to that if possible. May as well speak to it right now. The report that I'll be bringing in on June 3rd will take 2 of these concepts for the funding. The reason I've chosen, for example, concept for Allen Avenue, I understand that it may not help as many people, but that system is a ticking time bomb. And the current condition of that system is very, very poor, and I'm very concerned for immediate collapse. So those are the type of priorities that the Public Works Department will be presenting from this list. So no, it's not in order at all. We'll be picking up what we feel is more important right off the bat.
I have another follow-up.
Yeah,
through you, Madam Mayor. It's more of a statement or a comment. For the public, you know, one time shame on Mother Nature, second time shame on us. As the current council, we need to take some sort of action, if anything, for the reception of our responsibility and liability of inaction if we just say everything has too big a price tag and we're gonna put our hands up. So, to the public, this has got a big price tag on it, but if we do nothing, there's gonna be more consequences financially for the town through liability. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Owens?
Question and a comment, the work done by Public Works at the end of last year seems to have helped a lot this year. There was a lot of water out through that system at one point and things flowed and then didn't overflow. How much did opening up that section by Baird, that old cover that was buried on 60/50, so right behind Baird number 2, there was a section that's fully buried under a culvert, and this year it was fully opened.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like the water rose in that quite high, but then it flowed out. How much did that help, and is that feasible further down the road to open up more sections so you have that storage capacity without flooding people?
Yes, through you, Councilor Owens. That's definitely an option, especially in the premier area. Where EXP mentioned that opening in them up to open ditches for at least maybe a few years so that we can gain some ground for the replacements. That's definitely an option, and it helps with flow, and it helps us assess the current condition of the existing pipes as well. And if we leave a portion open ditch, that'll save on some costs for the replacement of the pipes as well. So we're looking into that, absolutely.
Councillor Dunkins?
To Madam Mayor, to, well, Stefan and, the other gentleman. I understand the cleaning helped a lot, what you guys did, first last year after the storm. And I understand the concept of flow control. My question is, the intersection or the area of Dixon and Pollock, it seemed to have an extraordinary more amount of water than other areas. So I'm just wondering, is there another issue there that needs to be addressed? And is it in the report or did I miss it? So I'm just.
I can speak to that, through you to Councilor Dykens. Yes, intersection of Dixon and Pollock, that is a project that Public Works is undertaking this year. We're gonna be replacing the system there. The main issue there is not necessarily undersized pipe, but a lot of sedimentation that ended up inside the pipes, but not only fine sand, but we're talking about cobbles, we're talking about very stiff material that we were not able to clean it out, and the pipe is way beyond its useful life. So we're gonna be ripping all that out of the ground this year, and we're gonna be replacing it again.
Excellent, thank you.
And we're well aware that that's definitely the worst area, yes.
Okay, I just didn't see it part of it.
No, it wasn't part of this presentation because that one fell into the cleaning aspect of the pipes in that specific area.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? I do want to thank the gentleman for attending in person this evening. We do appreciate all your hard work on this. As you can appreciate it, declaring a state of emergency is not something any council wanted to do, nor staff. So we do appreciate your expertise in this area, and we do look forward to working with you in the future. For Stefan and Councillor Chavez noted as well. The lack of maintenance of our system was historic. It does not fall on your department current day, and we do appreciate everything that you have done thus far. I did hit on it as well in my notes that I do hope this becomes part of standard operating procedure. And just to put members of the public minds at ease, we have suffered the consequences and we shall not do that again. So we do appreciate all the work and we know that this will become part of your regular routine for staff and their daily duties for inspection and cleanup. So thank you very much. We do appreciate everything. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Item number 6.6, 2006 Volvo grader repairs. This will also be presented by Director Forte, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-CW-007 entitled 2006 Volvo grader repairs be received, and that council authorize the necessary repairs to the 2006 Volvo G960 motor grader, and finally that $30,000 plus the applicable HST be drawn from the winter control reserve to complete the repairs to the 2006 Volvo G90 motor grader.
Thank you. You may proceed, sir.
Madam Mayor, through to council. I'm here today to discuss the necessary repairs to our 2006 Volvo motor grader. The unit has served the municipality very well over the years, logging approximately 12,500 hours of service and remains a vital asset in our road grading and snow removal operations. While the grader is scheduled for replacement in 2028, it's currently experiencing a significant driveline issue. At present, it will only operate with the differential locking gauge, placing a lot of strain on the drivetrain and increasing the risk of more serious and costly mechanical failure. To avoid potential service disruption or emergency equipment rentals, or recommending immediate repair. Something to note though, is that the original cost of the repair was $98,000. They wanted to replace the entire rear end. However, our mechanics requested the repair shop to investigate deeper, and it was then determined that it could be rebuilt for a lot less. The estimated cost of repair is now $30,000 plus HST, and we're proposing that this amount be drawn from the winter control reserve. Our fleet mechanic and external service provider have both confirmed the need and cost for these repairs, and there are sufficient funds in the reserve to cover this expense without affecting other priorities. Worth noting that a new grader is roughly approximately $500,000, and early replacement is not in the current capital plan or budget. This $30,000 investment would be a responsible step to maintain service continuity and extend the grader's useful life by at least another 3 years. Therefore, we respectfully ask council to authorize the required repairs, ensuring that this essential piece of equipment remains safe, functional, and ready for the next winter season. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Shava?
Mayor, the director, I see that we spent, according to your report here, we spent $46,000 to replace the engine, or something like that.
Yes.
Just see it again. Yeah, 46,000 in 2016, and you're asking for another $30,000 for another repair. So with this repair, my question is that what kind of warranty do we get? So if we spend $30,000, do we? I mean, I don't know. Do we get any warranty at all?
It's something that we can definitely look into with the.
Yeah. Because maybe this is a time to think about maybe dispense with spending $30,000 and then buy the bullet and just buy a new one. I don't know, but I like to see what kind of warranty you want to get for $30,000. I want you to come back here in a few months. Well, I guess we need another X amount of dollars to do a repair. So I like to know the warranty and for how long. That's what I'd like to know.
Okay. Through Madam Mayor, I'm gonna have to get a hold of the shop to discuss warranty. But with any used equipment, putting money into it, we always risk having, future failures as well. It is a bit of a gamble in one sense. But I think $30,000 is more valuable than $500,000.
Councillor Owen?
Yeah, through you, your worship. I hate spending money, as everybody here knows. But to me, this is based on expertise that we have consulted. And that is a vital piece of equipment, especially in the wintertime. So since we do have that 30,000 in reserves, and that's what reserves are for, in my opinion, to use for unexpected costs. To me, this is a no-brainer that we get it fixed so we can continue to provide the services that are needed. Thank you.
Counselor Ranger?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Steph, please thank your mechanic for coming up with this awesome resolution. Sure, others really appreciate this cost-saving measure that kind of just, hey, what about, so we really appreciate that, and that's good work, thank you.
Anything further? All in favor? Sorry?
It's okay.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 7, consideration is of notice of motion. There are none this evening. Item number,
I do have.
no, you have a notice of motion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not considering anything.
Okay.
Not yet, next time. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. 8.1, bylaw number 25-028, moved by Counselor Ranger, seconded by Counselor Kylie, sorry.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 25-028, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an easement agreement with Hydro One Networks Inc. over a portion of park mining claims L 2728 and L 1439.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 9, questions from council to staff. There was none submitted earlier. Item number 10, notices of motion. Counselor Shava.
Oh, okay. I do have one. Yeah. This one will be, just to follow up on what the CEO said, during his phenomenal report. And to bring the motion forward, to give us the ability to delegate, the ministers at the phenomenal conference.
Create a letter. You want a letter.
The letter also. A motion, well, there's a motion with the ability to delegate to, ministers at phenomenal.
Yeah, that's enough. Anything, any other notices of motion? I do have 2 myself this evening. One noted to be council conference attendance. And the second to be review and update of bylaw 86-65, public entertainment festivals and parades. Nothing further from members of council. Item number 11, councilors' reports, updates from members of council. Can I have a mover? Counselor Shava, seconded by Counselor Ranger.
Be it resolved that the verbal updates for members of council be received.
Thank you. Does any members of council have any attendance,
Yep.
community events? Thank you, Counselor Shava.
I will be very quick because we got a lot have been presented. This is about my attendance phenomenal on May 5th to 7th in North Bay. I attended with the mayor, Councilor Bill Dykens and the CEO. Found out the conferences, very interesting. And we had enlightening presentations, and thanks to the CEO for posting the link of the presentations from the phenomenal. So if anyone is interested in going through them, please do so. I think the link is only good to June 13th or so, as you indicated. They will take them up. So I'll be very brief. Like I said, we got a press release the day after from the mayor's office to summarize it. That summarized all the events. For me, notably, I really enjoyed the 1-hour presentation. As you know, we're following them regarding this passenger rail service. And it was a good presentation, got a rendition and a good 3D views of all the cars. And what I like the most is that a lot of thoughts were put into this in terms of accommodation, accessibility too, of senior citizens and so on, anybody in a wheelchair and whatnot. So I'm extremely impressed by that. And then we did a presentation also by the chief medical officer of a combined health unit, the title for Northeastern, that's good, and then Paris Sound. was very enlightening and especially, dwell on what, lady that we had a while ago talked about and some of the problems we're having in the north. So I hope that maybe in the future, the mayor can extend an invitation to the new CEO to come and meet and greet our, council. Lastly, there were 3 important resolutions that were brought forward by phenomenal executive council. I think they're really, very, nicely done. One is regarding resolution to appoint either associate minister or deputy minister of transportation, mostly for northern roads, because we're in a unique situation. We have all these transport trucks all over the place, a lot of accidents in the wintertime, whatnot. I think that to me is really a good way to go. We have the minister of transportation of the whole province, and yeah, we're part of the province, but we're in a unique situation here, whereby we have long, protracted winter periods, and of course, a lot of transports on the road. And then there was the resolution of funding approach to local public health agencies. And then, of course, the last one was the cost of policing in the north. So if anybody want to read those resolutions, I have copies that I'm going to pass on to the clerk. So that I will amount to, I don't know, is that part of the, what you posted on the link? I don't know if that's the resolution from Phenom. I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I have a copy here for the clerk if anyone wants to look at this resolution, nicely done. So all in all, I think Phenom is a very a good place to meet fellow councilors, and then you find out very quickly that you're in the same boat as they are in terms of fiscal reality, infrastructure, regard, and you name all the problems that you're having, they're having the same thing too. So you're in good company. That's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, I also had the opportunity to attend Phenom. And as the other said, it's very valuable, I believe. The networking part, problem solving, I'm sure the Strong Mayors issue came up with Mayor White and her contemporaries. But I think it makes each of our municipalities stronger when we can come back with information and ideas. But I wanted to talk about the Ring of Fire. For those of you not familiar, there's 5,000 square kilometers of vast mineral rich area in the James Bay lowland. It's rich with gold, of course, but zinc, platinum, copper, nickel, chromite, other valuable minerals. They need to build a road to it, but also it will impact the other roads. So I saw that our local MPP is now advocating for not a 2+1 highway, but double divided highways, because this has the potential to be the engine that drives Ontario's economy for the next 100 years. So it's a huge things, but they have to get things in place. So one of the things they did a few days prior to the Phenom conference, they passed a bill that makes it quicker to access resources. So I don't say a gold mine company discovers that there's probably $2 billion worth of gold. It takes them maybe 20 years to get all the permits and so on. So what they're trying to do is at least half that, maybe even better, streamline things. If that happens, then I think all of our municipalities will be in a much better place, and we won't be watching our roads crumble because there's no money in the province. Like I think Councillor Chavez said, we're all in the same boat. There's just no money, and we don't have the property tax base to support what we need to do. So I'm very excited about it. I know it's in the future, but if they can get shovels in the ground quicker and get at this, Ontario will be richer for it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anything else from council? Okay, so I do apologize. This will be quite long-winded. We do have so much to celebrate from our community members and local youth. There's lots of people I want to congratulate this time around. First, the robotics team of KLDCS on bringing home gold for a team of 4 robotics at Skills Ontario. And then the U19 Women's Division 5 champions, KL Swamp Donkeys, winning gold at OBAs in Kingston. Congratulations to the Agnico Eagle Macassa Mine Rescue Team for their outstanding performance at mine rescue competition held on May 8th in Timmins, securing the Kirkland Lake District Champion Award, and technician Colin Brown, who was crowned the 2025 Kirkland Lake District Mine Rescue Technician Award. I also want to recognize Conrad Messier of Bushi Martial Arts Academy, who will be representing at the World Karate Championship this year due to his performance at the national competition. Lastly, I want to also acknowledge the volunteers and performers who make the Kirkland Lake Musicians Coffee House possible. Once a month at Trinity Hall, local performers come together for an open mic style night of entertainment. So for members of the public who are looking for something to do, please follow their social media for further information and dates. Like CAO Smith, Councillors Dykens and Shaba, I attended the FUNUM conference at the beginning of this month. I was able to connect with several members of the Northern Ontario Women's Association and brought back many items for discussions with CAO Smith and Director Labrador, including access to town hall building, how to present budgets in a different and more transparent ways. I had pre-registered to take the bus tour of North Bay and brought back many items for discussion with Director Labrador. One key takeaway that I shared via news outlets was, if it takes you 10 days to walk into the bush, it will take you just as many or more to walk out. This resonated with me because at times, even though I sit at this table, the pace at which municipal business flows sometimes feels like a snail's pace. So it's a good reminder, not just to myself, but to all of us, that the issues we're facing didn't occur overnight, and they won't be, the solution won't be found overnight either. So I know myself, I will practice more patience in the processes, and hopefully members of the public will take that under consideration as well. I was pleased to see Dr. Catton as well presenting, and I will certainly invite her to present to council in the future as per Councillor Shaba. The last one that really resonated me was hearing about the insolvency of Orange County. Though it was in the United States, it was a really interesting case study of how not to handle municipal budgets. Some of the key lessons learned from that was to be wary of how much revenue we expect to make from investments, and how the need to balance the demands for lower taxation and the financial needs of municipal business. There is a unique balance that must be struck there. As a direct result of our attendance at FUNUM and the subsequent media coverage, we have been invited to take part in a podcast with the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. Similar to taking part in other outside initiatives, like sitting at the Mining Roundtable on TBO, this will increase the reach of the Kirkland Lake brand and identity, advertising our community to a wider audience. So thank you for that. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information is 12.1, the proclamation, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Be it resolved that council sanction a proclamation for Pride Month, June 2025 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
Thank you. Whereas June is celebrated as Pride Month in Canada and globally, highlighting the importance of embracing diversity, fostering inclusion, and acknowledging the significant social, economic, and cultural contributions of 2S LGBTQIA+ individuals in our communities. And whereas during Pride Month, we honor the remarkable courage and resilience demonstrated by 2S LGBTQIA+ people across Canada, and recommit our efforts to preventing discrimination and advancing inclusion and acceptance for all members of our communities. And whereas Pride Month is an opportunity to celebrate progress while also acknowledging the ongoing challenges in the fight against discrimination and violence based on sexual and gender identity, and reminds us of the importance of advocating for change and continued education and awareness in the fight for equality. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Stacy White, on behalf of council, do hereby proclaim June to be Pride Month in the town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. And we shall take a 10-minute recess before moving into closed. Welcome back from recess. We will now move into closed session, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees at 6:50 p.m. For the following reasons: item 13.1, request for committees of council appointments, various. Item 13.2, request for committees of council appointments, various. Item 13.3, request for committees of council appointments, various. Item 13.4, appointment to the Kirkland Lake District Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. And we shall now reconvene from in camera. At 6:59, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Owens.
Be resolved that council reconvene in open session at 6:59 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Any matters of pecuniary interest rising from enclosed? None noted. Item number 14, matters from closed session. 14.1, appointment to KL District Chamber of Commerce. Madam Deputy Clerk. Do you move it? Oh, sorry. Yeah, moved by. Thank you. Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that Mayor White be appointed to the Kirkland Lake District Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors for the remainder of this term of council.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw. 15.1, bylaw number 25-029, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Shaba.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 25-029, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, May 20th, 2025.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 16, adjournment, moved by Councillor Dyken. Thank you, everyone.